Excuse me while I make some space. I was doing some inking for a comic project. Hello and welcome back. I have a little haul to share with you today because I have been running low on some of my art supplies, especially my watercolours. Some of the colours I've had for a while now are running a bit low, so this is going to be a restocking art supply haul today. I'm just going to open up this package and then we will get into what I have. So I get to do an unboxing of an unboxing today. Right, I've got a couple other supplies I will hide off to the side from you. Well, I'll show you this one first. Let's move that box out of the way. Okay, so first off we have the Bimoji brush pen by Kuretake. And these are not new to me, but the specific type that I have got is new. So this is a restock / new thing for me. I've been wanting to get another brush tip pen because the other Bimoji I have, which is getting pretty old now, this one's near the end of its existence. This one is a felt tip. You might be able to see how that's becoming really blunt as well with use. I have got a lot of use out of this brush pen, and when I originally bought this brush pen, I was actually looking for this one. This one is it'll sometimes get referred to as the maroon label because of the back of the packaging. But this is the medium brush tip. So this is an actual brush tip pen with real bristles. So I know I really like the ink. I know I like the quality. I know that I like the grip and everything because of the one that I've been using. That one's nearly finished, so I thought I may as well replace it with the one I was originally looking for. So that's the first thing we have. And another restock here, well, all of this is kind of a restock. Another thing we have here is a kneadable eraser. So the ones I have at the moment are still good for a little bit. I've got this one and another one that's just a bit larger than this blob in my pencil case. These are just from taking bits off the last one of these I bought, and after this one and the one in my pencil case is used up, I don't have another, so I bought this as a restock to have for when these start going icky, because they do eventually just end up having too much graphite in them. So, and the box seems different now that I've noticed the box type is different. I don't know if I have one of the old boxes around. Well, no, I wouldn't because I used it. But yeah, this is a different box than usual. So yeah. That's the kneaded eraser I usually buy. It does get very sticky, especially when it's summer, but I know that I like quality, I know that I like how it erases, so got a restock of that. Let's get into the exciting part now, shall we? The actual watercolours. Let's look in this box first, because this box only has one colour in it. Okay, so move that box out the way. I'm going to be keeping these boxes for if I ever send things to friends. There we go. Let me get my watercolour box out actually. So this is my watercolour box. The lid off. That's all the paints I own in here. And I went through it to see what I'm running low on. And one of the paints that I am running a little bit low on, but still have a good amount left, is this transparent Pyrrole orange, which is related to this. So this transparent Pyrrole orange is actually the discontinued version from before 2019. The new version still has the same name, so if you go into a store or look online, whatever, you will be able to find transparent Pyrrole orange. And it's even the same pigment number, it's still PO71. It'll even have the same serial number because Daniel Smith don't change the serial numbers when pigments change. But although it's the same pigment number, either the distributor, the manufacturer, whatever, of this type of PO71, they could no longer source it from them, and they ended up using a different kind of PO71. And I really, really love this original version. I use it as my warm red on my palettes a lot of the time, even though it is transparent Pyrrole orange. The original, this one, is it's got more of a red tinge to it than the new version does. So I've been trying to find a replacement for this that is not discontinued, and thankfully I've got a bunch of art friends that I can bounce ideas off of that have much larger collections than me, and what one of my friends recommended was this. So this was recommended by, I believe it was by Cyan. A lot of art friends, I will check, a lot of art friends recommended different paints to me, and I ended up going with this one. And I am very grateful for everyone for recommending a replacement for this that isn't discontinued. This is going to be my first time trying MaimeriBlu. I've never tried this line of watercolors before, so that's another exciting thing for me. This is called Pyrrole Orange, and it is... Does it have the pigment on it? Where is the pigment? I'm not used to these tubes. Where is it hiding the pigment? Ah, there we go. It's hiding on the side. So it says PO71. So it is the same pigment number as this, but we're going to find out how similar it is. And I am going to do like swatch comparison. Hello, I am doing a voiceover from the future post doing some swatching, and the small card you see at the front is the new Maimeri PO71 that I have. The big swatch card directly behind it is the old discontinued Daniel Smith PO71, and then the big swatch card behind that at the very back is Pyrrole Scarlet, just to give you a comparison to see how red the old PO71 is. Now, the Maimeri one has qualities that I really, really want in a potential red orange, which is very high transparency and a nice like luminosity to it. So I'm really glad that it definitely does have those things. However, it's not quite as red of an orange as I was originally anticipating and wanting. And I knew it wouldn't get as red as the original PO71, but I thought it would be slightly redder than this, but it is not. However, I ended up doing some more tests with suggestions from my friend Lana, and I mixed the new Maimeri one with PV19 Rose, so Quinacridone Rose, and Pr122 Quinacridone Magenta. And this is the test page in question. So I did them originally right way up in a C shape, and that was so that on one arm it had more of the pink pigment, and then the other arm it had more of the orange pigment. And then next to those C shapes I put some of the original transparent Pyrrole orange, the discontinued one, next to it so that I could see a proper comparison of the orange that I could potentially mix from the two. And I feel like both of the PR122 and PV19 Rose do give some very close oranges to what I'm looking for. So I feel like this pigment is potentially going to work for me in the long run. All of my friends recommended different paints by showing me swatches in their collections that I could kind of gauge what I would be interested in. Another one that kind of interested me that looked like what I'm looking for is the pigment PO107. So PO107, and that is a potential replacement if this one doesn't end up working out, but I'm hoping it will. Next up we have, so we've got 3 in here. This is a replacement for my Phthalo blue green shade. Holbein, for some reason, refer to their green shade as yellow shade. This is the pigment PB15, and usually when it's green shade it's PB15:3 specifically. So this just says PB15 though. And this is a replacement for my Daniel Smith Phthalo blue green shade because I am completely out of that. I don't even have the tube anymore, it's completely finished. I do have in this palette, that is the remainder of my Phthalo blue green shade. That is all I have left. So this is the replacement slash restock, and I am new to using Holbein. I have 2 of their pigments now. I have of their paints, but it's from the granulation line. I've got Ocean Blue and Twilight Purple, which was my first dive into Holbein watercolors, and I like them enough that I assumed that I would probably end up liking their Phthalo blue, because Phthalo blues typically across brands are quite consistent. So there we go. Move this out the way. So this is a bit of a sad restock. For those who are not aware, much like this, Quinacridone Burnt Orange has been discontinued, and a lot of paint makers, paint brands are starting to change their line of watercolors, removing their version of Quinacridone Burnt Orange, which can also be called things like Quinacridone Rust, among other things. And they're starting to get rid of that paint from their lines, and they're also changing their formulation for Quinacridone Gold. So original Quinacridone Gold, which was PO49, got discontinued, I think it was back in 2016. So a bunch of brands ended up making a fake, a hue of Quinacridone Gold by mixing PO48, which is this, with PY150, among other things, but that's the most common one. But now, because this PO48 is being discontinued, that hue for Quinacridone Gold is also having to change. So a bunch of brands have already been phasing that out and bringing new versions in. And I've waited, I think it was 2 years ago now, I think, that it was announced that PO48 was discontinued. I'm now at the point where I have, would you say that's about half a tube? I have half a tube of this left, and I'm not sure at this point, since it's 2 years after this has been discontinued, if by the time I finish this, this will still exist. So I've gone a little bit ahead of schedule restocking this for the specific reason that this is now discontinued. I'm not panic buying, and I don't advocate for panic buying. This is a colour I do use frequently, and this is the most amount that I feel comfortable purchasing. I'm not going to go out and buy 5 tubes or anything like that. Eventually I'm just going to have to find a replacement for it, like I'm finding a replacement for this. I assume you probably heard, I did drop one of the tubes on the ground. That will be picked up after this video. This is the final tube of restock and the final supply. Let's see if I can find it in the box. Well, that was easy, it's right at the top. So this is another restock, but something new. I think the Quinacridone Burnt Orange is the only one that's an exact restock. This is Brown Red by Shinhan, so I'll just unroll this so that you can actually see what the tube looks like. So this is Brown Red by Shinhan. For those who've seen a few of my videos, this is one of my most used earth tones. This is the pigment PBr25. I use this in a lot of my paintings and illustrations as a pretty transparent and non-textured, non-granulating brown. It is a very red brown, hence brown red, but I always mix up the fact that they call it brown red and I say red brown sometimes. This, I've ended up going for the Holbein version. So this is also PBr25, but they call it something that's even worse for me to remember than brown red. Imidazolone, or Imidazolone brown. This is the replacement for this. I have just enough to refill one slanted well in my palette, and that's it. So restocking that. The only thing I didn't actually, hold a moment and I'll get the paint that went on the floor. So what order did these come out in? I think it was that order. So these are my restocks and also trying some new things out. Like I mentioned, this one is just a pure restock, 1-to-1. These are pretty pure restocks, but just changing over to Holbein. And then this one is me trying out MaimeriBlu and also my attempt to find a replacement, because like I said, this is the main warm red I use all the time, and I want to find something that I can get a close-ish result with, so we'll see how that ends up going. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be exactly 1-to-1, but we'll see how this goes. The only other colour that I did need to restock soon was my PV19. So this is one of the really big 21 milliliter tubes by Sennelier that ends up being like this long, unravelled. This is the PV19 that I typically use, but I'm going to be switching over to a different one when this is finished. And at the moment, I'm doing a lot of experimenting to find out if I want to go with PB19 Rose again, or if I want to maybe try some other cool red, there we go, cool red pigments in that area. Things like Quinacridone Magenta PR122 and some other pigments in that area. So I'm doing some testing at the moment with things I already own, and things that my friends are sending me little samples of and things like that, so that I can figure out what I want to do by the time this is used up. But other than that, that is everything that needed replacing. So here we have it. This is my little restock haul with some, yes, it's a restock, but there's some new exciting things to try in here. Like I get to try the brush pen out instead of the felt brush tip, and then I get to try MaimeriBlu. I get to try Holbein's line that isn't the super granulation line, and I get to have Quinacridone Burnt Orange for a little bit longer. But I will probably, even though some of these don't actually need to be used immediately, I will probably like do a little swatch test, just put a little dot on my ceramic palettes of these and try them out and compare them to the swatches I have. So I have a little brown envelope of swatches. So I can compare them to other things I've tried before. Let's see if I can get the transparent Pyrrole orange one out actually, and then you can see what it looks like. So this is transparent Pyrrole orange. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I can find something like this again. But we shall see. That's the thing with art supplies, they don't last forever, and even major brands change over time. I'm not that familiar with Moleskine, I've only ever tried Moleskine once, but I have heard that people that have used them for decades have said that Moleskine had a very big change in the like colour of the paper and things like that over time. So, you know, things change. Nothing is permanent, even in the art supply world. And it's kind of fun at the same time. Obviously there's a little bit of like grieving the thing that you love, but at the same time it's opened up opportunities as well, because the core line of watercolours, they have gotten rid of their version of Quinacridone burnt orange and they're bringing in a new burnt orange. It's not in stock in my area yet, but what they're using is actually PBr25 for their new burnt orange. I think it's called like benzimidone burnt orange or something like that. I know it's like a benzy something burnt orange, and it's using this pigment, and it is one of my favourite earth tones, so it's exciting to see PBr25 being used more in brands as a result of this disappearing. So there's the silver linings, positives and negatives. Nothing is entirely black and white. And I get to try new things at the same time as well. I don't know why I got all wistful at the end, but what have you been up to recently with your art supplies? Is there anything you've had to restock recently? Anything that you're trying to learn more about? Whether that's something new or something that you've had for a long time that you're just trying to play with more, let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye!